enthusiasts, and today we're looking at the 2015 Genesis Sedan. We're going to do an in-depth review, check out the interior, and take it for a test drive. Stay tuned.
Today we're looking at the 2015 Hyundai Genesis. This is the 3.8 htrac. This is Hyundai's flagship sedan and is doing quite well against its close competitors, the A6 and 5 series. This Genesis is powered by a 3.8-liter V6 engine. It gets 311 horsepower at 6,000 RPM and has 293 pounds-per-feet of torque at 5,000 RPM. This model has a 0 to 60 time of 6.3 seconds, a quarter-mile time of 14.6 seconds, and a top speed of 130 miles per hour. The Genesis comes with an 8-speed automatic transmission and can be purchased with rear-wheel drive or all-wheel drive. Its mileage is 18 miles to the gallon in the city and 29 on the highway. Hyundai has made the Genesis into a sleek, sporty sedan that sticks out on the road. It has the perfect balance of curves and edges that make it a pleasure to look at. With an increased wheelbase, the 2015 looks even more aggressive than previous years. The grille of the Genesis is one of the features that sticks out the most. That and the sporty rear make this sports sedan pose a serious threat to other sedans in its class. The dual exhaust and simple badging are a normal occurrence with Hyundai's sporty cars, and as usual, makes the Genesis a fine example of class. Trunk space in the Genesis is actually massive. It is very deep and spacious. The opening is also much larger than its competitors, but in cubic volume it's very similar to the Audi A6. The back seats in this sedan were a highlight of my experience with it. They were not only extremely comfortable, but offered an amazing amount of room in the legs and head. One of the most astonishing things about this sedan is the sky view from the back seats. There's a massive moonroof that has completely changed the experience of riding in the back. So for the interior of this Genesis sedan, this is a really nice interior. You know, we are in the 2015. I've sat in the 2013, the 14. I've test drove those before, and this is by far the nicest. You know, as years go on, you know, they make the car nicer and nicer. This is a very, very luxurious car. I'm very impressed with Hyundai. You know, for a long time, Hyundai hasn't been regarded as that type of company that can produce a luxury sedan like this. And I gotta say, you know, out of all the luxury sedans I've been in, this is one of the nicer ones. They've added a lot of sporty features to a very, 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 very conservative and moderate car. Not in a bad way, but in a very classy way. You know, this could have a lot of business uses, stuff like that. It's all around a nice interior. I'm very comfortable. It's extremely luxurious. The wheel is extremely attractive. It has a really nice, very high quality leather wrap with extremely nice stitching. It does have paddle shifters that are pretty high quality, easy to use. The Genesis badging is extremely nice, and the overall wheel is nice. There's a lot of buttons on it, but they seem easy to use. I haven't had any trouble with them. It's not more than a driver can handle. It's also very comfortable because it has a lot of comfortable holds here. It's just an all-around great wheel, and I think Genesis carries these over from all of their cars. I've never encountered a Hyundai wheel that is not very nice. The gauges are extremely sporty. I really like the design. They're very similar to German luxury cars. This might have been a purposeful decision by Hyundai, I don't really know, but they've always done really good jobs with the gauges. These are very flashy, sporty, and I really like the digital speedometer in the middle. The overall interior is very high quality. It does have an analog clock. There's a lot of wood trims. I really like the dash up here. The screen is extremely high quality. It's very large. It's tucked away. It's not up in the driver's face. The overall buttons and systems work very well. They're very high quality, very easy to use. This is one of the nicest systems that I've encountered. The shifter knob as well is very high quality. This is similar to a lot of the new Hyundais with the higher trims. It just seems like a luxurious shifter. It's very easy to use. You do have a Shiftronic mode. Heated seats are down here, very easy to use again. And cup holders are nice. They're pretty good size. They're actually a little smaller than what I would have expected, but again, they're extremely nice. It is push to start. The key fob is really nice. There's a little bit of plastic on it, but it does have a nice chrome lining, and the Genesis badging is nice on the key fob. Door space in this car is pretty good. There's a long compartment. It's not very wide, but there's some interior padding, so you could put some items here that are a little bit tight. Moving on to the glove compartment. The glove compartment is actually very large for the sedan. I'm really impressed. There's some big items in here that are coming from the dealer, but this is, again, a very large glove compartment. It also has a nice interior. It's very soft. It's great overall. There's also a pen hold, and I like that a lot. In front of the shifter knob, there's also a very big space. This is a very attractive cover with the chrome tint. You actually push it in. It's very easy to push. It's a lot like Mercedes, same resistance. You've got two 12-volt auxiliary USB and a big amount of space that you can put your phone, iPod, whatever you have to use, and that closes just by a push. Moving on to the center console, this is actually a fantastic design. It's got a double door design. There's a button in the front. You press the button. I missed the button, and it opens up here. Very attractive opening, very easy to use. As a driver, it's a little tough to get over this, but this does have a bucket that comes out for change, phone, and a pretty big interior. It's not as big as other, some of its competitors are a little bit larger, but Hyundai has a much larger glove compartment, and this is also a wide space. I can't imagine you missing space. The seats are extremely comfortable. They have a really nice leather wrap. They're also very wide seats. The bucket is really wide. They're comfortable. They have good leg support and good thigh support. The overall visibility in this car is actually really good. I'm really impressed. The rear window, you know, it's a little bit tight. The slant is a little more than what you might expect in a sedan, but overall there's a lot of natural light. The side view mirrors give a lot of, they're very broad mirrors. I can see a lot around the car. The hood is a little high. It gives me the same experience as a Nissan Maxima with the front hips. But other than that, there's a lot of natural light in this car, and it's a really attractive car with the light coming in. Okay, I just put it into reverse because I wanted to let somebody go. Yes, there's a nice display screen, backup camera, which is pretty standard with a lot of sedans these days. One thing that I did notice is putting in reverse, you really see that lack of idle speed. Usually I'd expect that the engine would engage quickly and you would actually idle backwards, but I had to apply a little bit of gas just to get that response. That's one downside to this car, and that is a very common complaint that you hear with a lot of consumers. I just experienced it. You know, I think once you get used to it, it can be overlooked. It's a lot like driving a manual. You know, you have to engage the gas. Can't speak. Engage the gas. But other than that, so far it's pretty good. For steering, it is a luxury sedan, and the steering is light. I've always been impressed with Hyundai's steering, and I think they've done a really good job carrying over what they've had in previous cars into this car, and I think they've perfected the steering. It's not too light, it's just heavy enough so you get a good feel of what's happening on the road. I'm very impressed. It's also pretty responsive. The car really moves to a slight touch of the wheel, and I like to see that. I feel connected to the road. One thing that I've noticed just driving onto the dealership, braking at lights coming up, is the braking is a little touchy. It's a lot like other competitor sedans, those luxury sedans. You know, all these sedans want to produce a car that appeals to both people that are looking for luxury and looking for something that's a little sporty that will spice up their daily driving. What I've noticed about the braking is it's a lot like the R-Spec Genesis Coupe braking. It's very touchy, but it's precise. So when you do engage the brakes, the car is coming to a stop. It isn't jerky, and that's kind of, I think it's not jerky because of that refined interior, the way that the seat holds you, the actual weight ratio of the car. They do a good job making it so the driver's comfortable when you're braking and accelerating. So, the feeling of the road. We are in New England. It's right after winter. The road is a little bit rough. The overall comfort is a lot like a lot of German high-quality sedans. You're feeling the road. You're definitely feeling the road. You can feel the car shift as the road, as the wheels compress on the road, but it's not uncomfortable. It's actually quite comfortable. The car kind of moves as one. A lot of times you hit a bump with some luxury sedans and the car like jerks. This car kind of moves as a whole, which is making it feel more comfortable as a ride. I'm really impressed because the Genesis has a very nice balance between the feeling of the road and the actual kind of refinement. They've made it so that the exterior is quiet. I'm not hearing too much. So the overall handling and actual steering of this car, you know, usually we go find rotaries, but we haven't done rotaries, so I haven't had done any tight turning. But for what I have done, it's a very, 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 I can't say very enough, balanced, overall balanced car. When I do turn, there isn't any body sway, which is nice. This car does have the new safety stabilizing bars, which is nice. It's not a full roll bar, but they're two frontal roll bars they're not, I guess they're not really roll bars, they're just stabilizing bars. So that kind of minimizes any body sway and any roll. Are we going straight here?
We're going to take a right here.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the turning is really comfortable. It's really precise. I can accurately get a feel of what the car is going to do when I'm turning, which is nice. A lot of cars, when I first drive them, I kind of get into this issue where I have to drive it a little bit to figure out whether I'm going to oversteer or understeer, especially when I'm doing acceleration. And then, does this guy just stop?
Yeah, he just stopped, so you gotta just go around it.
So the steering is actually pretty good. I'm really impressed. It's a very balanced steering. It's very predictable. A lot of sedans, it takes a little while to kind of figure out what the car is actually going to do, and right off the bat I can expect everything this car is going to do. Again, it's very predictable. I'm really impressed. There's not a lot of body roll, body sway. It's very comfortable, and I've driven a lot of luxury sedans. One of my favorites has always been the Audi A6, and this is almost exactly like the A6. And I think Hyundai's done a great job coming up over the past decade or two to such a stature where they're producing these luxury sedans that are very similar to long-time standing German cars. And there are very few things about the drive of this car that are different than the Audi A6, and I'm just super happy with what I'm getting out of the sedan. The actual feel of the gas pedal is a lot different than what I might have expected. It's very different than older Genesis years. I've driven a couple in the past, and I've helped a couple people buy them, and they're very soft. Genesis has always advertised this quick driving sedan, something that's very sporty, and I've never actually experienced that with these Genesis sedans, and I can say for the first time that this year, 2015, is something that is a little bit more responsive and peppy. I really think you could buy this car and kind of get that sporty aspect. It's certainly, like I compared it earlier to the A6, it certainly doesn't have the same performance as the A6, but again, it has those sporty drive qualities and a rather large V6 engine. They've had a few healthy torque increases, horsepower increases, just through regular natural aspirating upgrades in the actual engine. And I'm impressed because they've taken this car and really transformed it into something that I could see myself driving and really having a spiced up drive. And again, I can't emphasize enough, this is a comfortable car to drive, and I could really see myself going on road trips, being really comfortable. I always really say that, I could see myself doing a road trip in this car. But this is one of those few cars where I could really just spend a lot of time in. The seats are extremely comfortable, they hold my body really well. And I just think that this is one of the few cars that I've been in that I just feel comfortable in. So with very few cars, I can comfortably say that I feel comfortable in. And a lot of the cars, when I'm doing some of these reviews, I kind of talk about that sense of who can drive these cars, who looks comfortable in these cars, what type of sexes, age groups this car kind of appeals for and caters for. And this is one of the few cars that I can say, I think anyone would be comfortable in this car. I think Genesis sedans and Hyundai have done a really good job making a car that appeals to everybody, that the drive appeals to everybody, that it's a comfortable luxury sedan. And I'm really impressed with what Hyundai's done. They've really stepped up their game and produced a sedan that can compete with the highest luxury sedans of today. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. Definitely leave comments and questions below. Let me know what your experience has been with this car. Please subscribe and check out some of our other reviews.